Hey, y'all. Welcome to Cornbread and Roses. I'm your friendly neighborhood organizer, Austin, and I'm here tonight with Jason.
Hello, comrades.
And yeah, we're going to show a few memes, some media, whatever, something to laugh at. Oh, yeah. You're looking at possibly the most unprofessional podcast in the land, maybe the known universe. And yeah, also one of the only socialist podcasts in Alabama. Roll Tide, y'all. And yeah, we're going to talk about welcome, comrade scumbag. And we're going to talk about some memes media this week in socialist history, conspiracy of the week, or conspiracy theory of the week, I guess. There's definitely some conspiracies out there, though, folks. And we got a Stray Kids fan in the chat. Love it. And then we're going to talk about some news. We got new laws happening in Alabama, starting in a little under a week. Not under 2 weeks. Some stuff with guns and some stuff with cancel culture and maybe a couple other things, but we'll get to that. But hey, let's see here. Let me see if I can find them. Where to kick it off with? The memeage. Welcome to Rocket City, y'all. I don't know. That was quite a fashion statement made by our what do you call it? A dictator's wife? Dictress? Dictrix? I don't know. I don't know either.
Well, they would be dictatrix, but
dictatrix. It must have been the CIA in cahoots with the mafia. I'm thinking it's just Alan Dulles and a few of his boys. That's my tinfoil hat theory. We got the PayPal co-founder Peter Thiel and Anduril founder Palmer Luckey are launching Erebor, a digital bank built for crypto and tech startups. And Jeebus here, naming a bank after the place where smog killed everyone and stole their money is kind of weird. Kind of weird and kind of on brand. Elections are coming up, y'all. But who's bro voting for right here?
Interesting.
Free speech for everyone. Anakin in 2016. Anakin in 2020. Imagine if the roles were reversed. And Anakin / Darth Vader in 2025. Arrest every leftist. I don't know how good that Vader was. As a reminder, folks, that this too shall pass. But like, holy fuck. Yeah. God, what are you? Evil. What's your gender? Villain. What's in your pants? Doom. We've got the incomprehensible horrors staring down my whimsical ass.
I like this one.
The point is, no one cares. It doesn't really matter anymore. Hey, left-wing group too disorganized for FBI agents to infiltrate.
That's
Praise.
the truth.
Yeah. Decentralization works.
That's one way to put it.
That was a scary 24 hours with the whole Civil War thing. How about them Epstein files? Yep, stay on mission. Am I on a government watch list? Maybe. Yeah, probably. But I'm not on the Epstein list. Yep. Man struggling to feed his family, just happy he can fund wars with his taxes. Yeah. Hey, we just met. Let's collaborate. Yeah, let's see here. Kirk, like JFK, has become a political Rorschach test for the paranoid and cynical. That's excellent insight there. You don't like my comrade scumbag. People are going to wonder why I'm calling him comrade scumbag, but they're just going to have to figure it out themselves. God. Breaking: House Republicans are pushing a stopgap bill that will include $88 million in additional security to protect them from the violence they've been inciting. And oh, have they? Love this sign. I might make it myself. We're not from the left or the right. We're from the bottom, and we're coming for those on top. In the same vein, we got left, right. Dre like no, or wait, not Dre. Drake. Drake like no. But Drake like yes. Ultra rich versus you. That is correct. I still can't believe this is such a used meme, considering Kendrick's absolute devastating decimation of Drake.
I mean, just nuke the man from orbit.
Yeah. And then he asked for more and got it.
Right.
This
devastating. I don't pay much attention to pop culture, but even I was like, man,
he's got him.
There's no need to keep beating on him.
Oh man, yeah. Let's see here. This was actually part of some propaganda out there. Is your child a far left extremist? Look for warning signs. Expresses sympathy for poor and working people. Expresses concern over the treatment of marginalized groups. Expresses concerns with fascism and the current political climate. Accepting of all sexualities, religions, genders, races, etc. Wishes for a world where all people are treated equally. Takes an interest in history and philosophy and talks about solving various injustices in society.
Was this like posted unironically by a conservative? Like, hey, if your kid shows these signs.
Yeah, dude. I swear I saw it like 2 weeks ago, posted unironically.
Wow.
Yeah.
Not an interest in philosophy and history. Anything but that.
Yeah. Scum. Bleh. This is a little, I love me my numbers and my stats out there. Yeah. Loud punk music is always the first sign. Yeah, dude. I got my kids on that. But help with mortgage. If you look around 2008, and I don't know if you remember what happened back then, but the economy collapsed and the taxpayer bailed them out with trillions of dollars. And now looky over here. It's on par. So leading indicators, folks, leading indicators, because damn sure them folks up in office don't know how to manage an economy. you know, in light of the billions of dollars that Disney has lost in boycott already, I think they're over 4 billion now in lost monies. But this little Andor, the pace of oppression outstrips our ability to understand it. And that is the real trick of the imperial thought machine. It's easier to hide behind 40 atrocities than a single incident. Yeah, they just keep rolling them out, don't they? And we got, and you call this a nihilistic, violent, extremist organization, despite the fact it's obviously just ordinary people. Yep. Yep. Just people, folks. Saw this on my on the Dreg subreddit. I'm not going to go into all of it, but just at the center here, the transgender ideology inspired violent extremism, backed up by the Heritage Foundation and being rolled out by the administration, but a lot going on here, a lot of Wojaks and soy jacks and whatnot. But the cute little snake, like this snake, not this snake, this snake. Don't tread on us, snake. Yeah, look, we even got Trotsky over here. This is, and if you're not familiar, we got authoritarian left, authoritarian right, lib right, and the anti-authoritarian right, and then the anti-authoritarian left over here. And for a final little shot, got this guy right here. Yeah, a veteran from back in the 80s during Reagan's years. This is taking place at an ice facility outside of Chicago. But yeah, standing tall. Chris Evans of Evanston. That's got to be a little. I wonder if he owns the place. A military veteran, United States Marine Corps intelligence during President Reagan's era, carries a flag as tear gas is deployed. You can get used to this stuff, folks, which, you may have to. But yeah, we're off and rolling. That's the memes for this week. Oh, okay. We got some knowledge over here that I missed. Yeah, Obama never made universal health care public. Let's bail out the banks.
Oh, but he gave us Romney Care.
Antifa and Black Bloc tactics, not specific groups. Exactly. Ideology and tactics. And I did not know this. The snake is the archetype for time in literature. Well, yeah. Okay. All right. So what do you want to hit next, Jay? History or conspiracy?
I always love the conspiracy. Let's do it first. I'm gonna eat my dessert first kind of guy, as you can tell by seeing.
Have I lost my partner?
Can you not hear me?
My partner in crime.
Can you not hear me?
Hello? Okay. I guess we're just going to roll into history over here. This week in socialist history. We've got on September 15th, the birth in 1889 of Claude McKay, a Jamaican-American leftist writer. Yeah, I was thinking about the Ouroboros, so I almost said that. Yeah. But we got Mr. McKay here. There he is. Welcome back.
Let's try that again, shall we? Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now. Let me fix my there.
It said I was talking. My microphone claimed to be working.
I think it was me, maybe. I don't know. Because you came back through and it went to my speakers and now I put it back on my headphones. But yeah, we got this this week in socialist history. Before I step on any toes, what do you got going on this week in socialist history?
Not much. I just had a couple of items about the bombing in Birmingham in the 50s, or the 60s rather, and that's pretty much it. The 21st is the day the PRC was founded.
The PRC, remind me.
The People's Republic of China.
Oh, that one. Okay. That good on them. And I'm sitting here reading from. Oh, how terrible is that? Anyway, this is the DSA's yearly calendar. That's what they're called. And this one says education for all. I was just talking to one of the kids earlier about the importance of education and how it's, well, I use the metaphor, it's a shield, and the importance of it. But it can definitely be other things, metaphorically speaking. But this man here, did you want to talk any okay. Did you
go
want
ahead.
to? Okay, all right. Well, we got this fella here is born in Jamaica, and he was a central figure in the Harlem Renaissance, which was a really cool movement. I think it kind of started in the 20s. I had an English teacher. She said to me, I think I was in 9th grade. She's like, I think you'll really like Langston Hughes. And, that was the first time I heard of him or the Harlem Renaissance and whatnot, because I was a dumb kid. Have we seen the 80s movie Talk Radio? Eric Bogosian. I have not. It's worth tracking down.
Okay. No, I've not even heard of it.
No. But this guy here, he was one of the first writer. I think he was the first writer to write in Jamaican patois. And he has some stuff, Home to Harlem, Banjo, Banana Bottom, Harlem Glory, and Amiable with Big Teeth, a novel of the love affair between the communists and the poor black sheep of Harlem. And this one's interest written in 41, but it was published in 2017. And this here, Romance in Marseille, written in 33, but published in 2020. But very interesting life. He traveled around a lot. He actually went to Tuskegee for a little bit before going off to school in Kansas. He was part of the IWW. Lived sometime in Britain, visited Russia, where they loved him over there. And he actually printed a couple, I think they were books in Russian, actually. And, seven siblings, and his parents were active and well-respected members of the Baptist faith. He actually ended up turning to Catholicism as he got older. And he did a lot of things. It's, once again, the amount of amazing people you don't hear about in history is just, especially when it comes to socialism, is you could make a whole library for just that by itself. Maybe that's something to do. Alabama have the first socialist library. And we're going to talk about a library actually. And yeah, as you see, Russia and later travels. One thing that I thought was curious as well is he was actually queer. You know, and so he's a black queer dude during the Harlem Renaissance from Jamaica to the United States, an IWW member. I mean, like, I'm sure a lot of folks out there could identify with, and a Christian. I'm sure a lot of folks could identify with him out there. But he did have one famous poem that I wanted. He wrote many things, but I want to start a Scots-Irish rebellion against fascism. Let's do it. But he had this: "If we must die." So I'm gonna read this real quick. If we must die, let it not be like hogs hunted and pinned in an inglorious spot, while round us bark the mad and hungry dogs, making their mock at our accursed lot. If we must die, oh, let us nobly die, so that our precious blood may not be shed in vain. Then even the monsters we defy shall be constrained to honor us through though dead. O kinsmen, we must meet the common foe. Though far outnumbered, let us show us brave, and for their 1,000 blows deal one death blow. What though before us lies the open grave? Like men, we'll face the murderous, cowardly pack, pressed to the wall, dying, but fighting back. Oh, yeah, that's one of his more famous poems right there. And yeah, moving on to the 16th, we have the Sabra and Shatila massacre. It took place over the 16th through the 18th in 82, killing between 1,300 and 3,500 civilians, mostly Palestinians and Lebanese Shia and Christians too, which was odd because there was a Christian militias backed by the IDF. This is a pretty horrible thing. It even drew condemnation from Israelis themselves in the early 80s. And, you know, it was ruled genocide. Big surprise. But it's a very complicated situation on a level. A lot of different players in it, but the idea
called phalangists.
Yeah, there we go. The phalangists. You know, I thought this sounded like hand doctors, but they were not. Yeah, yeah. Hezbollah, yes, in Lebanon. That's right. If I wasn't clear on that, this happened in Lebanon, and Hezbollah was created to drive the IDF out of South Lebanon. See, look how smart our chatters are. Man, you should be doing this show, not me. But is a massacre, and the IDF to help perpetuate it. But yeah, the Phalangists, a right-wing Christian political party in Lebanon, founded by Pierre Gamaliel in 1936.
The fascists under Franco called themselves phalangists too, the Catholic fascists. And I guess I thought there was some action, but these were Maronite Christians instead.
What the hell is the etymology of that damn word?
Phalange. It's the word for. Do you know what a mace is?
Oh yeah, so one of my favorite weapons, especially if I'm playing cleric.
So, I think it refers to the. Like sometimes maces have. Well, I don't know what I'm talking about. Never mind.
They got little pokey parts, spiked mace.
Yeah, sometimes they have spikes, and sometimes they have something called phalanges.
Gotcha. Gotcha.
But like
Okay.
it can also be
Oh,
related.
oh, like the flared mace.
Yeah.
Got you. Yeah. It's you know, a very uh technologically advanced stick. Yeah, Lebanon is mostly Shia, Sunni, Christian, and Druze. Yeah, yeah. Like, there's people really don't get the what is it? The melting pot that is just about every country on Earth. It's it's rarely like even China. It's like 56, 57 different ethnicities, something like that. It's not just quote Chinese folks. You know,
Oh yeah, no, China is a bewildering array of many different ethnicities and linguistic groups, many of whom are mistreated by the Han majority. Like there's racial politics in China as well, and linguistic politics, like people who speak Hakka or Min or Fu, like their languages are not being respected or taught in schools. They're subjected to racial harassment and discrimination.
mm. So yeah, it's tough all over, folks. Yeah, yeah, like how the Kurds deserve their own country, but everyone hates them. Yeah, and they're sitting in the middle of that little area. And then there's been opportunities for the Kurds to have a country, but I guess it was better just for because the U.S. probably could have gotten that done, in my opinion, on a level, at some point.
Could have made
But
Kurdistan happen.
yeah, yeah, but yeah, vicious genocide, uh, helped by the IDF, and like I said, an interesting response from the UN, who condemned it, and some folks like tentatively calling it a genocide, uh, but also the U.S. response and the Israeli people's response was also interesting. So that's something to check more into. Um, on the 17th is the Occupy Wall Street movement begins in New York City in 2011. Now, this is like Jay, remind me, didn't you mention this is kind of like where you started, or before that really, 2000, when during the invasion and stuff, you started uh your activism back then, didn't you?
Yeah, I got involved in activism during the run up to the Iraq War, trying to put a stop to it. But I was in politics from 2003 until about 2011 as like a basic cookie cutter liberal. I look back on that period and cringe because, like, I opposed the Iraq War and I had good liberal positions on or left leaning positions on lots of things. But for the most part, I was still like, oh, capitalism is the best way to organize society, and Barack Obama is going to be something new and better and different. Like I was a fixture at the Barack Obama headquarters here in Huntsville.
But okay. No, yeah, the ISIS commanders are running Syria now. It's not blocked here. We see you, dude. And Uncle Warren, welcome. Y'all check out the show. Check out the channel, Extra Bulla. Uh, they he does a new show and he does some funny show too. So thank you for coming. It's good to have you here, dog. And we're talking about the Occupy movement. We got David Graeber, who one of the people who helped term "We Are the 99%," coined the term. This stuff spread to other places and morphed. Many commentators have stated that Occupy Wall Street movement has its roots in the philosophy of anarchism, which, if you don't know what that is, hierarchy bad is kind of how I sum up anarchism. Although, correct me, please, out there, folks.
But yeah, it was really Occupy that put me into. I mean, I had always been kind of in contact with more radical lines of thought, but I'd always been kind of skeptical of them until Occupy and some of the discussions I had out of there, and talking with my grandparents and other people, and that's what got me into a more left-leaning politics. I stopped calling myself a capitalist, among other things. For a long time, I said I was a free-range or a non-denominational socialist, and that I didn't belong to a particular tendency. And I still kind of don't, per se. Like, I'm not a Leninist or a Trotskyist or anything like that. A Maoist.
I'm a let's win ist, whatever the hell that is. Let the working class winist. We got a report here that is blocked. Like, these comments are getting blocked. AI censoring our comments from our amazing chatters. Welcome to micro surveillance, not just global state surveillance, but we got, on a micro level. What I feel seen, actually, if we're getting censored.
I know, right? They're bothering to censor the comments on our tiny little podcast.
Yeah. Well, you know what? And we're at 110 subscribers. Oh my God. Hasn't been a year yet. It's been almost a year, but not quite yet. And this stuff helps my mental health. So all y'all out there listening, thank you for contributing to my to good mental health for me. I appreciate it. But they talk about some of their goals, the influence of corporations, all this stuff we're still dealing with, right? More and better jobs, bank reform, student loan forgiveness, alleviation of foreclosure situations, but the media labeled protest anti-capitalists, while others disputed the relevance of this label. It was
I'm not sure how much we accomplished, but it radicalized me. So there you go.
Yeah. I was down with it. I liked it. I was not able to take part. I was in the military back then, but I was inspired by it, and I was like, yeah, y'all get it. Some interesting things, how they like organize stuff, and there's criticisms, which sound, but one of the things in here was using progressive stack, getting step back, step forward, step back, getting marginalized groups involved, because one of the criticisms was like it wasn't a rainbow coalition. It was like very white led. In 2025, Dr. Ron Suarez, I saw this community agents AI to continue the work of consensus decision making. I don't know how I feel about that, but yeah, that's right here. And I didn't get a chance to look at it, but I mean, I like their slogan, community management as a service and no Nazis. Oh, then, they had a library going. They worked on logistics of feeding, about 100 people or about $1,000 a day. They couldn't have microphones, so they developed the human microphone, which is where, somebody says something and the whole crowd repeats it. It's a good little workaround to get around amplified sound. Of course, you don't want to give no 40-minute speech, right? And it was criticized for not having a clear set of demands that could be used to prompt formal policy change. The lack of agenda cited is a reason why it fizzled out before achieving any specific legislative changes. I feel like they could have shifted some stuff and gotten people in power. You know what I mean? But it doesn't appear that it didn't pivot and morph and escalate. But hey, it got you here, so it at least did that.
Yeah, and look how important I've been to the movement.
Hey, do not cut yourself short. We wouldn't be doing this podcast if it wasn't for you. We wouldn't be having the socials on Saturdays if it wasn't for you. Helped with the spokes council. I mean, you don't cut yourself short there. We got enough Nazis out there trying to do that. Moving on the 18th, Michael Red Mike Quill, Irish radical and one of the founders of the Transit Union in New York City, was born in 1905. This fella here is Irish and moved over here. He was part of the IRA, fought after Bloody Sunday, was part of the Communist Party USA. He was elected to office several times. Went down and marched with MLK. Like I said, another interesting fella. And of course a unionist. And yeah, check this fella out, he worked for a long time to make things better for working class folks, led a lot of strikes, was part of leadership in a lot of things, and all in all, a based individual. So you can check him out as well, and that's Red Mike. That's a good little nickname. Yeah.
My first name is Michael. I should be Red Mike.
Oh, hey, we can do that. We can do that. Red Mike.
I don't know.
That's what's up. Hey, we were working on nicknames earlier. I said what I called you Bricks.
Bricks. That's right.
Yeah. Red Mike is good too. Let's go with that. Yeah. Fear not. We are all equally powerless by ourselves. That's right. We are and we aren't. It's almost like a little contradiction where like our group effort matters, but your individual effort in that group matters as well. Yeah, well, they had sound systems. Well, they had to keep getting permits, is what the deal was with the amplified sound thing. So they got tired of that pretty quick. Yeah, and there's Anglo-Irish writers, Oscar Wilde, C.S. Lewis. Yeah, there's a lot of great ones out there. I love me some Oscar Wilde one-liners. It's funny how whoever wrote that speech for Trump when he was talking in the UK, how he mentioned Orwell, that made me laugh my ass off. Him mentioning Orwell in that speech. Listen, like Dickens, Shakespeare, Orwell, Kipling. But yeah.
Yeah, Orwell was one of us.
Yeah. So we got this going on too on the 19th. The Jamestown burned to the ground during Bacon's Rebellion, and is an international revolt in 1676. Is that it took place. It was against Native indigenous folks there, and the British rulers as well. The interesting rebellion, as it was an alliance between European indentured servants and African folks who were a mix of indentured, enslaved, and freed black folks. Um, and it disturbed the colonial upper class. But, it was still like, working folks versus working folks in a manner. And, apparently, I don't know how they got there. I feel like I'm not quite sure, but apparently I had ancestors that made it to Jamestown and made it through the cannibalism as well. So uh, that's my folks back in the like 1605 or whatever. But yeah, burnt down Jamestown and fought and had a few things going on. So there's been so many rebellions and uprisings and all that kind of stuff, which gets glossed over so much in American history. Like it's just orders. This rates like maybe a page in a history book, But this is the anniversary of the burning that took place. When Bacon's forces again reached Jamestown, it seemed impregnable, approachable only via a narrow isthmus defended by 3 heavy guns. Nonetheless, Bacon ordered a crude fortification constructed at the end of the isthmus, and when Berkeley's forces fired on the crude structure, sent out parties of horse troops to gather the wives of some of the governor's supporters. Thus, Elizabeth Page, Angelica Bray, Anna Ballard, Frances Thorpe, and Elizabeth Bacon, wife of his senior cousin, were placed on the ramparts together with some Native American prisoners to be endangered should firing resume. Damn, On September 15th, some of Berkeley's troops sallied out, but without success. I'm glad you're still here, Stray Kids. Yeah, like the coal miners at Appalachia. Yeah, getting they got to it a lot. So Berkeley's counselors advised abandoning the town. They spiked the guns, took stores aboard vessels, and slipped down the river at night. Bacon's forces thus retook the town. However, Bacon also learned that his former follower, Giles Brent, had raised an army in the northern counties and was marching south to attack Bacon and his men. Thus, Bacon, Lawrence, Drummond, and others decided to torch Jamestown, the colony's capital, on September 19th. Yeah. And yeah, speaking of miners, on the 20th, miners' strike in Cripple Creek, Colorado, leads to near civil war in the state in 1903. Yeah. The first Colorado mill workers strike, March and April 1903. This is a long article, and we're not going to go into all of it, but we've got more than 300 National Guard soldiers arrived in Colorado City to protect the mills and escort non-union employees to and from work. Why don't they say scab here? The Colorado City mayor, the chief of police, and the city attorney complained to the governor in a letter that there is no disturbance here of any kind. At least 600 citizens of Colorado City opposed the deployment by signing petitions or sending wires to the governor stating that a few occasional brawls did not justify military occupation. This sounds familiar too, don't it? But the soldiers dispersed Union pickets. They searched Union members' homes, and they put the Union Hall under surveillance. Governor Peabody worked in close association with Craig to form an employer-based Citizens Alliance for his hometown of Canyon City, which the governor later joined. He appointed an anti-union mine manager and former sheriff's deputy from the Cripple Creek district, Sherman Bell, to the office of adjutant general. I think there's a good song from okay, I'll call you Sam then. I think there's a good song by the band, the famous Canadian group, about Cripple Creek. But yeah, you know, where doesn't describe too much, but some of the deaths that occurred. Strike and miner killed by an explosion while trying to blow up the Sun and Moon mine. That was unfortunate. 2 management employees killed by an explosion at the Vindicator mine. 15 strikebreakers killed in a hoist accident at the mine. The cause is disputed. 13 strikebreakers killed by a bomb at the Independence train depot, with at least one other miner mortally wounded. And so, in 2 non-union men killed by gunfire at a mass meeting, and 1 striker miner killed in a gunfight with troops. This all happened in 1903 into 1904. So yeah, another piece of history to check out. And lastly, on the 21st, Orlando Letelier, I'm guessing maybe, the socialist refugee, was assassinated in Washington, D.C. in 1976. But yeah, well, he was a Chilean economist and diplomat during the presidency of Salvador Allende, a refugee from the military dictatorship of General Augusto Pinochet. Letelier accepted several academic positions in D.C. after his exile from Chile. In 1976, agents of Dirección de Inteligencia Nacional, the Pinochet regime's secret police, assassinated Letelier in Washington in a car bombing. The agents had been working in collaboration with members of the Coordination of United Revolutionary Organizations, an anti-Castro militant group. But there's a car bombing on the 24th in Sheridan Circle in Washington, along with his American secretary and interpreter, Ronnie Carpin Moffett. Moffat's husband, Michael Moffett, was injured but survived. Several people were prosecuted and convicted. Among them were Michael Townley, a U.S. expatriate working for DINA, General Manuel Contreras, former head of DINA, and Brigadier Pedro Espinoza, also formerly of DINA. Townley was convicted in the United States in 1978 and served 62 months in prison. He is now free in the Witness Protection Program. Contreras and Espinoza were convicted in Chile in 1993. During that investigation into the assassination, documents in Letelier's possession were copied and leaked to journalists before being returned to the widow. The documents showed he was working with the Eastern Bloc intelligence agencies for a decade and coordinating his activities with the surviving political leadership of the Popular Unity Coalition, exiled in East Germany. FBI suspected that these individuals had been recruited by the Stasi. Documents in the briefcase showed that he maintained contact with Salvador Allende's daughter, Beatriz Allende, who was married to Cuban DGI station chief Luis Fernandez Ona. And yeah, at his funeral, Joan Baez sang in honor of him, and several thousand U.S. citizens and Chilean expats took part. So yeah, so that's my this week in socialist history. I hope y'all found some of that enlightening and entertaining. Google's cooling off period is a bit longer for John Brown. So, and the feds clearly let Pinochet get away with it. And why not? Why not? But that leads us to our little conspiracy of the week. And where are you, Share? This is conspiracy theory. What do we know? Who knows? U.S. adversaries stoke Kirk conspiracy theories. Researchers won. This is a new Chopra released September 17th. But it appears that Russian, Chinese, and Iranian state media are exploiting conservative activists Kirk's assassination to advance thousands of false claims aimed at undermining the U.S. and other adversaries, a research group warned. Official media in 3 countries mentioned Kirk 6,200 times since the activist was shot during a speaking event, says disinformation watchdog NewsGuard, reporting data gathered from social media analytics. Assessment comes after the U.S. eliminated a key government agency, that tracked foreign disinformation in April, framing the move as an effort to preserve free speech, even as leading experts monitoring propaganda raise the alarm about the risk of disinformation campaigns from U.S. adversaries. Are you really worried about the adversaries? I'm much less worried about the adversaries concerning disinformation.
Yeah, not right now.
But it says what the adversaries want is violence and bots from all over that are trying to instill disinformation and encourage violence. Not just them. Much of it originated from Russia, which falsely claimed Ukrainian involvement. Oh, that one's new.
That's hilarious. Not hilarious, but it's something.
Yeah. But and Iran is accusing Israel, which, Netanyahu came out with his weird, totally sus declaration that it wasn't, I don't really believe it's Israel, but also him coming out and saying something, but then also like everything that comes out of that man's mouth is a lie. So, you know what I mean?
Sure.
Oh my goodness. But it was framed as an operation by Mossad. Meanwhile, China is claiming that Robinson donated money to Trump's campaign to mock the U.S. Pro-China commentators used Kirk's assassination to mock the U.S. and spread false information about the suspect, portraying America as deeply divided. We're not deeply divided. Not as deep as people think. If you look at, only 30% of the country voting for Trump, that's a plurality, a minority. You look at all the things that Americans agree on that are good, like universal health care. Our boys Comrade's Comeback is getting censored hard. Trying to make a very banal and factual point about 9/11, and Google won't let me. Pretty cool, right?
Isn't technology great?
Maybe we should move our add Rumble to our.
No, it's not. I want to live.
We should try to add Twitch, maybe, but yeah. But yeah, in April, Rubio shut down the State Department's Counter Foreign Information Manipulation and Interference, or FIMI hub, formerly known as the Global Engagement Center. Oh, that's That's so like milk toast. Is that the right word? Not milk toast, but it's so like generically unsuspicious. The Global Engagement Center. Financial Times reported that European countries received notice from the State Department. It was terminating the Memorandum of Understanding, which aimed to establish a unified approach to countering disinformation by foreign governments. Yeah, so that's not there anymore. But yeah, that's the conspiracy of the week that people are trying to. Yeah, Ukraine did it. Israel did it. The shooter was trans, and then the shooter was like, oh, have you seen the evidence have you seen those text messages?
No, I haven't.
Okay.
I've been somewhat avoiding the topic a little bit just because I haven't wanted to think about it.
Yeah. Even Chat GPT thinks those text messages are fake. Yeah. I'll try this. Biggest intelligence failure ever. Stop. No one even reprimanded. Stop. Yeah. George Tenet awarded Medal of Freedom. Stop.
I mean, we tortured people and they got away with it.
Mm.
They tortured dozens and dozens of people, and Obama told us not to be sanctimonious about it.
Yeah, I will be sanctimonious.
I'm gonna be self-righteous for a minute and say torture is bad.
You're terrible. That's so anti-national defense. And proven time and again that torture does not work.
Well, even if it worked, it would still be wrong to do.
Yeah, but their whole premise is that it worked, right?
Yeah.
That it was worth it. Yeah. No. How about, what's worth it? Not being an asshole. You go around not being an asshole, good things happen. But yeah. So those are the conspiracies of the week, and we are going to get into, where do you want to kick it off on news, Jay? I'm sorry, Red Mike.
Red Mike. Whoa.
I'm gonna have to remember that for next week.
I don't know. Do we want to talk about the right wing's embrace of cancel culture, or do we want to start off with the laws that are coming into place? So the title of the episode is the laws, so I guess we should start there.
Let's hit those up first real quick. And blah. These new laws take effect on October 1st. And that looks like Biden out there. Several new laws go into effect October 1st.
Makes me think of Fredo from The Godfather. I guess he's not fishing though. But that classic shot of Fredo and who was it? The person who assassinated him. I forget. Neri, maybe. Neri.
I've seen that movie like once. Yeah.
I've seen it like
and the
times. I love The Godfather. It's such a good movie. And The Godfather Part 2.
Yeah, the U.S. invasions of Iraq and Syria were about Israel. Yeah, they've been trying to get us to do that since like the late 70s. And it looks like we're. Oh, did we hear about David? I heard about David. Y'all hear about David before we lock into this? David, a music artist, apparently had a minor as a girlfriend, and she was found in his trunk. Something to look into if you're out there. That's what's trending with the kids right now.
I had not heard of this. I've never heard of this person.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what's all over the TikTok right now.
Oh wow. I need to get on TikTok. I still need to do that. I haven't decided what I want like my online name to be.
Red Mike.
Because I don't want to I don't want to necessarily put my real name out there.
Make it leet speak.
Leet speak, but Red Nike.
Well, we got WVTM 13 has been yeah, he was definitely a jerk. Yeah. And it appears to be a murderer on top of everything, beyond being a jerk.
That's awful.
They've been, yeah, dozens of bills have been enacted from the 2025 legislative session, and many of them are about to come into law. We got Lulu's Law, who's a young girl attacked by sharks. But under the law, emergency agencies can now send mobile shark attack alerts to phones in localized areas and to on-duty first responders. That seems reasonable. It seems reasonable to me.
That doesn't seem wrong or bad. But why only Mobile and Baldwin? I guess because that's the only ones that have sharks.
Right.
But it always bothers me when there's
maybe we go
like laws for specific regions and specific areas. I guess it makes sense in this case because where else are you going to encounter sharks in Alabama?
We could get a crocodile one up here or alligators. What is it? But I ain't heard of nobody getting eaten by one recently. So, the Back the Blue bill. This bill will legally protect police officers from being held responsible for their actions as long as they fall within their authority and responsibilities. The bill would protect officers unless they act recklessly without justification or violate well-established legal rights. The legislation also outlines conditions where excessive force is justified. Law enforcement would not be charged unless the force used on the person violates constitutional rights against excessive force. Yeah. So this is bad.
No, I read about so the zebra thing, I read about something similar to this in it was the book Guns, Germs, and Steel. And someone which I have extremely mixed feelings about. But he does mention zebras, and he was like, well, why didn't people domesticate the zebra? And it turns out that zebras are extremely aggressive.
Yeah.
And they're used to fighting off lions and hyenas and stuff, and they're not here for people riding on them or messing with them.
Yeah. Zebra will fuck you up. But this bill, it impacts like the tort system and being able to sue at even a civil level versus all the protection and like immunities that police officers already have under the criminal criminal system. And you know, it even further reduces the accountability of police in the state. I feel like there's going to be a lawsuit brought by, I don't know, the ACLU maybe against this. And you know, they sit there and violates constitutional rights. You know, you'd think that all this was already a thing. You know what I mean?
Right.
No, I didn't know that. Zebras evolved with humans. Horses didn't.
Yeah, horses were probably domesticated in what we now call Ukraine. By speakers of the Proto-Indo-European language.
Well, what the hell did Genghis Khan use? How did he get his horses from Ukraine?
Well, I mean, that was so Genghis Khan would have been like thousands of years later after the domestication of the horse. So the horse had plenty of time to spread outwards.
That's fair enough. Fair enough. That was, yeah, was it probably 10,000 years ago that the horse got domesticated and then all the trading in between?
Probably so. Let me see. I can look up the exact dates. Domestication of the horse. Blah, 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 blah. I'm not seeing a date.
That's next week in socialist history. Actually, September 24th, the horse was officially domesticated 15,000 years ago. I don't know, 10,000 years ago. I don't know. Comrade Scumbags asking, just curious, why don't you like guns, germs, and steel?
It's not that I didn't like it per se. I think it made a lot of interesting points. It's a long story, and I haven't read it for a while, so I would have to refresh my memory. I just remember thinking about like some of the ways he wrote about indigenous people. I think were not quite on board with my understanding.
Gotcha.
Although he wasn't like an out and out racist or anything like that.
Yeah. More like misinformed, like a motherfucker.
Maybe a little bit. Like, yeah. I'd have to read it again in order to refresh my memory as to what it was that I objected to so much, because I can't recall offhand.
Zebras instinctively know to fear us.
Yeah,
fair enough. I heard a lot of people disagree with that. Yeah, I got through. I bought it, read a little bit of it, and did not finish it. So I have no opinion. It's still sitting somewhere. Maybe, I don't even know. I've gained and lost so many libraries over the years.
I think it's leans a little bit too hard into the environmental determinism, in that it says, okay, gotcha, your environment determines what kind of cultures and things you can develop. And I think there's some truth to that, but perhaps not to the extent that he suggests.
Yeah, things are usually way more complicated.
Yeah, but it's still an interesting book, and he's an interesting thinker. I also, a little bit better is his book called Collapse, which is about how societies choose to fail or succeed. And despite that title, it really is about the role that environmental degradation plays on culture and other things. And I found it a little bit better researched and a little bit, well, I hate to say better researched. I'm not a scholar. Who am I to judge other scholars? But I thought it made a stronger argument.
Gotcha. We also got this bill, this going into effect, Senate Bill 76, Parker's Law, which exempt nursing mothers from jury duty entirely, provided they got a doctor's note. I like this one. Don't understand why judges couldn't just exercise common sense. But as they say, common sense ain't common. Then we got a few more here. Any of them? Look how many.
Yeah, there's quite a few. So, I mean, the highlights kind of are the parole probation officer clarifications. So it makes it clear that probation and parole officers are considered law enforcement officers under Alabama law. So they have the same legal status and recognition as other law enforcement personnel. So I guess your parole officer, according to the law, the blue bill, can do whatever they want to and get away with it.
Yeah. There you go. They've just expanded their workforce.
So the juvenile detention rules is kind of, I thought, something that was a positive development. So children under 18 are kept separate from adult inmates and only detained when absolutely necessary for public safety. So, and then there are specific protections for different age groups and types of offenses. So, like, I thought that was probably something like a positive development given the insane dangerousness of Alabama's jails and prisons.
Yeah. The Diamond proposed that Eurasia developed high technologies because it was latitudinally oriented rather than north south. That meant different climates.
Yeah,
Sure.
yeah, and it was an interesting thing, like, because they have different climate. Like the claim was that developments in the Middle East could spread much more easily from, as he's saying now, spread much more easily from west to east because it would be in the same climate. But basically, when corn was domesticated in Central America, because it had to cross different climates, it took a lot longer for it to diffuse to, say, the Algonquian people who also practiced corn raising. So, and a similar case is made for animals, in that because animals tend to thrive in the same type of climate, that you have, the horse is evolved for the Eurasian steppes. It can spread across steppe territory and from east to west a little bit more easily than it could diffuse from north to south across different kinds of climates. So there was a lot going on with the in the case of the Inca, and one of them was a smallpox epidemic that was tied to a sailor on board one of Christopher Columbus's ships. So basically, by the time Pizarro had got to the Incas, smallpox had decimated their society, including their military, and it even killed the Sapa Inca, the emperor. So there was a 14-year civil war between the two brothers that were left alive after the smallpox killed the emperor. And when the leader Atahualpa was taking his victory lap across the empire, somebody came and said, "Hey, there's some white people on the beach and they're asking for you."
Yeah.
But yeah, there was a good deal of violence, and I'll say too that the Inca didn't lay down quite as docilely as you might have been told. Organized resistance to the Spanish continued for 300 years after conquest. Even though their polity was destroyed, they continued to resist. And there are places in Peru where speaking Spanish will not do you a lick of good because it's all monolingual Quechua speakers. And so they have survived and thrived and fought back for hundreds of years. It wasn't just as easy as, oh, they lost their polity and then they were beaten. But my knowledge of history is very limited, so take everything I say with a grain of salt, including, just for the record,
it's one of our defining American features.
I know, right? Just for the record, by the way, phalange comes from phalanx, and it's flange, Flange, not Falnge, is the name for the feather, the thing that's on the feathered maces.
There were a million Incas, only a few thousand conquistadors. You have to stop believing that's racist against natives. I always understood it that they fucked them up. Like, I never really heard about. I know that disease didn't help, but I always understood it as they did some conquering. You know what I mean? But we got a few more bills. The Lake and Canine Act that allows emergency personnel to care and transport for injured police dogs while on duty, and legal protection for those providing or declining such care. Cardiac arrest response in schools. All Alabama public and private schools must implement comprehensive cardiac emergency response plans and maintain AEDs in athletic venues to protect And I think there's like schools that are actually having to like fundraise for this stuff. Because I don't know if it was provided for monies were provided. We mentioned Lulu's law already. Uh, Price gouging during emergencies. Hey, prohibits charging unreasonably high prices for goods, services, and rentals during officially declared states of emergencies. Uh, Not a state of emergency, but apparently those out attending Charlie Kirk's memorial, Uber and Lyft are charging, have upped their charges to like $700 a ride, uh, which is crazy. We got a vape tax, 10 cent per millimeter tax on vapor products, with the revenue split between the state, the counties, and municipalities. Uh, Civil protections during emergency medical aid, uh, which the vape tax, like that could have, that goes like in directly against like them just now getting rid of all the THC related stuff in July. Uh, Civil protections during emergency medical aid provides legal protections from civil lawsuits for medical professionals, emergency responders, and CERT members who provide free emergency care or first aid in good faith during accidents or disasters. How does that work though? Like, I guess if you're a citizen though, and you're trying to render aid to a person, that this doesn't protect you. So get your certification, I guess. The immigration enforcement at the state level, focusing on detention facility procedures and establishing human smuggling as a new criminal offense. Aquatic plant trimming. Anyone who removes aquatic plants must probably clean up the plant material they cut or face a $500 fine. Veterans Resource Center Act establishes a new public corporation to create a centralized, comprehensive support system for veterans and families by coordinating services and resources. Parker's Law, we just mentioned, combat and inhalants for nitrous oxide, butyl nitrate, and amyl nitrate for recreational use, makes it a Class A misdemeanor. With the exception of medical, industrial, commercial applications. This one, the What is a Woman Act, establishes legal definitions of sex-based terms and requires state entities to classify individuals as either male or female based on biological sex at birth. Skips intersex, folks. While maintaining provisions for equal rights and accommodations for individuals with differences in sex development. Another point that bothered a lot of people was that many Incas thought that pale-faced riders with rifles were gods come to punish them.
Yeah, like I said, I don't know everything about it, but I'll check into it, and I'm happy to read any books that you suggest.
He said, read about the first Spanish contacts with the New World. Yeah. There's so much history like that.
Spend your whole lifetime studying it and barely make a dent.
And also like just the pop highlights that we get. Like when I was going over socialist history earlier, I was trying to read, I'm like, oh my God, this is interesting. And I'm suddenly find myself 20 minutes later, I'm like, well, I can't read every article, all of every article. Because I'm like halfway through just one of them,
Right.
But I could sit on Wiki all day, and I probably should, like dedicate one day a week on Wikipedia. Adoption overhaul modernizes the adoption laws. The medical consent age raises consent from 14 to 16 while strengthening parent rights and maintaining specific exceptions for sensitive services like STI testing and pregnancy care. Restrictions on gun ownership expands the list of people who are prohibited from owning or possessing firearms. I don't think they put trans people on there this year. Maybe
No.
we'll try it.
So the official categories are a person who's been convicted in the state or elsewhere of any kind of felony offense within the previous 5 years. If you've been convicted of 3 or more felony offenses of any kind, the person has been convicted in this state or elsewhere of committing or attempting to commit a crime of violence, misdemeanor offense of domestic violence, or a violent offense. So, like, they've taken guns away from people who have committed even misdemeanor domestic violence, or if the person is subject to a valid prosecution order for domestic abuse. More controversially, the person is of unsound mind.
This sounds almost woke, semi-woke.
But yeah, like they've determined that if you can determine if someone's of unsound mind, you can deprive them of a constitutional right.
Well, that's where they're going to call trans folks of unsound mind, right? That
I'm sure they'll try to.
Yeah.
I'm not a big gun person, but I am schizophrenic, and so I kind of bristle a little bit at being told that, oh, we're going to restrict your rights based on on this.
Yeah, and it also still sounds like it's easier to get your gun back than to get your voting rights back.
Right, and the bill doesn't define what unsound mind means. It just says that the person is of unsound mind.
Mm-hmm. This is awesome. I feel like I'm back in the Western days. Gold and silver as legal tender can be used as money in Alabama, but no one is required to accept it unless they specifically agree to do so. So what? But yeah.
Well, I guess the bill does define what unsound mind means. It's got a long page of found by a court, board, commissioner, or the lawful authority as a result of marked subnormal intelligence. Good Lord. Mental illness, incompetency, condition, or disease is a danger to himself, herself, or others and lacks the mental capacity to contract or manage his or own affairs. Found to be insane. Involuntarily committed. Wow.
Yeah. We got a few more bills to cover, and then we still got a couple more articles to do. The Coach Safely Act strengthens oversight of youth sports, proper safety measures, particularly for high-risk sports. It creates a system of dealing with organizations that don't comply. The Alabama Entertainment Office to give tax breaks to folks to include music production alongside film incentives to attract the entertainment business to the state. Digital content filters requires pre-install of filtering software on new smartphones and tablets sold to protect minors. Parental leave for state employees who have worked for at least 12 months and they experience childbirth, adoption, stillbirth, or miscarriage. I think they provide a little bit for the husband as well. And retirement benefit thefts makes it a Class C felony to steal or embezzle funds from employee retirement plans, particularly those under the retirement systems of Alabama, with a 6-year window to prosecute once the theft is discovered. So, as with everything in Alabama, a mixed bag. And
so what about the age verification law for pornography. It didn't that also comes into effect October the 1st. But I didn't see that mentioned here.
I thought that was already in effect.
So I think some sites like Pornhub have preemptively enforced it, but it's not actually legally enforceable until October the 1st. That's my understanding. Yeah, I mean, it's the most easily bypassed thing in the world. All you got to do is get a VPN.
Yeah.
But not that I do that sort of thing. But
so yeah, those are the laws coming into effect. I like this little article. The Bandwagon, Alabama woman starting state's first traveling band bookstore. Fueled by censorship, carry if you get transformed 1940 pickup into a roving band bookstore. Look
I
at
did
that cute
this in
little thing.
Huntsville, but it was a library instead of a bookstore, and no one ever wrote a news article about me. I would
Man,
go to different events with so the library got destroyed because it was in the back of a truck, and a rainstorm unexpectedly came through and drenched my books. But
damn.
yeah, it was unfortunate. It wasn't supposed to rain that day, and then it did.
Well, maybe we can recreate it.
Well, I've been thinking about doing that. And then, like, it was a library I would take to, like, protests and things where people could check out books. I would give away zines. It was
Nice.
creatively titled the Alabama Socialist Library.
Oh, so we did have a socialist library in Alabama,
We
and
did.
you were the creator of it.
Yeah. I had it for about 5 years.
Yeah, there is definitely a movement of abandoned fascist states. I think in Europe they're doing some stuff like that. But Carrie here says I was originally thinking of opening a regular bookstore, but after the fight over abandoned books in Fairhope, I was inspired to go this route instead. Grew up in Baldwin. Something about it happening close to home struck a chord. Now Alabama is tossing around the idea of banning books portraying trans folks. It's just wrong. Reading about perspective and ideas and lives of people different than us is what builds empathy. And my goodness, we need so much more of that in this country right now. She mentioned that APLS will not only consider withholding state funding to Fairhope because it continues to shelve books that the state has deemed sexually explicit for minors. And the APLS is also working toward banning all positive depictions of gender transition from children and youth sections. There's actually a meeting coming up, I believe in Montgomery again in October, and you can sign up to speak and go down there. But she's from Baldwin County, and the Spanish Fort Public Library has gone to purge children's books depicting families with two fathers or mothers from children's sections. A book included about a gay married man who collected too many chickens and two father family who began to get in silly mix-up while doing chores. People are so afraid learning about something can lead to becoming something we aren't supposed to become, but what it really does is help us accept ourselves and others for exactly who we are, differences and all. So I bought this 1940 pickup, and I'm building a banned book bookstore into the back of it so I can ride around the South, not only selling banned books, but teaching people about them so that they can see they're not as scary as some want us to think. I can't fix all the world's problems, but I can do something. I'm choosing this. So it's called The Bandwagon. It's a continuation of her story. She says, as a kid, adults in my life didn't want me exposed to certain information, and I did and believe things out of ignorance that were so harmful to others. It wasn't until I got to college that I experienced a kind of awakening that only comes from being exposed to stories and truths told from perspectives beyond my own. The experience changed my life. It made me a better human, and that experience fuels the work I'm doing now. So, redemption. It'll also sell houseplants and antiques in addition. So yeah, I take that as a W right there. You also got open carry legal in Alabama. What's to know? Real quick before that, though,
Is
let's
a way
get
to
to
bring people into the conversation about democracy, where we are in our country, how we're gutting the Voting Rights Act. When you talk about history in Montgomery, Alabama, really Montgomery is the root and has the tentacles that kind of spread out to what's happening in our world as it relates to you know inequity. And so this chair will serve as a reminder to people that not only we're not going to stand for removing those safeguards as it relates to voting rights, but also it reminds us that we need to come to the table, to the seat of democracy, and have a conversation.
Is that a reference to the famous boat fight?
Yes, dude.
I dig it.
Yeah. Hell yeah. I'm a Charian. I don't know.
A Charian. A Charist.
Florida Supreme Court upheld a ban on open carry. But what are the rules in Alabama? Yeah, you can always open carry. As of January 1st, 23, and it enacted permitless carry, allowing individuals 19 and older or 18 for active, retired, or honorably discharged veterans and law enforcement officers carry a handgun without a permit, background check, or safety training, provided they're not otherwise prohibited by law, as we saw with the law that was just referenced. You cannot carry concealed on private property without permission. Employers can't ban firearms in employees' personal vehicles if stored properly, and it's now legal to keep a gun inside a vehicle on college campuses as long as it's stored correctly. It still prohibits in certain places like jails, police stations, halfway houses, detention centers, mental health facilities, courthouses, government buildings, schools, or athletic places as well. But residents aren't required a permit for carrying. It still issues pistol permits, which are mainly helpful for reciprocity in other states for carrying in restricted places. Permits are free for active duty or retired military. And everyone else, you can buy a lifetime permit for $300, and for 60 and up, $150. If you don't want a lifetime permit, there's 1 and 5 year options. So even though a permit is not required for open carry, Alabama will recognize a valid permit issued by another state. So that's
the chair. You can carry in Alabama, concealed or not. You don't need a permit. You don't need anything.
But the chair, that was my favorite part of this.
Oh yeah, the giant chair is great. I love it.
And we got, cancel culture all around in Alabama. Alabama City removes signs honoring Miss America turned politician who called Charlie Kirk a vile racist. We got.
So I want to go into this on this week's slop, especially how the right has embraced cancel culture. But I've got a lot of articles related to it.
Yeah, we can. Yeah, I was just going to hit the highlights. She's from Opelika. They were proud of her. We got, as a Canadian, that is terrifying to me about the guns.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of it either. Like I said, I'm not a gun person. I'm one of the few leftists that are not. They say there's the joke that if you go left enough, you get your guns back. But I went left enough, and I'm still no on the gun thing.
But she, they called her rhetoric divisive and disgusting words against a dead political figure's character, and body shaming is shameful and does not reflect the standards of Opelika or its people.
What did she say that was body shaming?
I
The
did not
article
see her
didn't quote
quote.
anything. The article didn't quote anything body shaming about what she had said.
Yeah.
And it's rich to hear conservatives complain about body shaming, by the way.
Yeah.
Not that that makes that okay, and that would be wrong if she did that, but I didn't see anything in her comments that I would consider body shaming. She just said that he was a vile and racist human being,
Mm-hmm.
which is not body shaming.
No. But we got colleges firing staff, and it's not enough. Students say, student group, you know, it's funny, you know, it's just the hypocrisy of folks that, you know, complain that everybody's doing this and that to them and all this, and they turn around and do the same stuff. But I was trying to find the group, but conservative students have flagged comments from 4 staff at the University of Alabama and 1 at the University of Alabama in Huntsville. And that also there's school teachers K through 12 that are also getting suspended. But the universities have not responded, and yeah, the conservatives are arguing that the First Amendment doesn't protect educators who are commenting about or celebrating his death from losing their jobs. You know, just on and on. But it was decided a while ago, I think in the 70s, that teachers and professors and stuff are, you know, the American right seem to think that the safest society is one big Mexican standoff, mutual assured destruction or something. Yeah, the First Amendment literally does do that exactly. So this is an overreach by far. And we'll see what the response is, because there'll be a response from folks. I expect a lot of lawsuits.
I hope so.
But, you know, they're having memorials, putting up murals in his name like he was some kind of hero. I just marked him as another racist guy who spread nothing but hate around every place that he went. And I figured everyone else felt the same. I knew I was wrong when I noticed the things going on campus, from Jalil Montani. Conservatives say that he's considered a hero. Now they're looking to his wife, who many called Proverbs 31 woman, in reference to a wife of noble character. You know, I never heard, if he's so Christian, I didn't hear him once say, "Love thy neighbor." But yeah, and you know, this is from 1819. Blech. UH chair blast Charlie Kirk's faith, accused him of racist, sexist, and homotransphobic language. And Leslie Maxwell Kaiura, self-claimed progressive Christian feminist and LGBTQ ally. She had, this is the statement. This is very much how I feel. It is spiritually exhausting and demoralizing to see Christians praising a man who used racist, sexist, homo, transphobic language and minimize the problem on gun violence. Jesus never once threatened, never once treated marginalized people or the sinners of his day with mockery or rejection. He did not try to force his teachings on people. In fact, he advocated quite the opposite. Some people have met Jesus but never bothered to get to know him, and others use him as a political tool of oppression. Blessed are the meek, the merciful, and the peacemakers. Peace does not come from violence on any side. Oh God, what a terrible statement. You know, And over Auburn, employees fired over hurtful, insensitive comments. Both Alabama senators praised the decision, and that it's just, do not expect fascists to have any sort of logical reasoning or whatever. It's always, it's okay if I do it, but if you do it, and then it's, out of bounds. Rules for thee, but not for me.
Yeah, there's a famous quote, and I can't remember who said it, about the right wing wants a world in which there's an in group that the law protects but does not bind, along with an out group that the law binds but does not protect.
Yeah, exactly. And, and always having to have an enemy. Always having to have an enemy. A defining feature of capitalism as well. Is to always dividing and conquering. It's simple, folks. Love thy neighbor, eat the rich. You're working class. This is all a charade. They do not really care about any of this stuff. They just want to sit there and break people up so they can steal from your labor, make money off you and use you up till you can't work no more. Or if you get hurt, throw you away, So but I think that's about it for this week. There is one other little thing. I kind of want to read something pretty crazy. But Obama appointed judge orders Jefferson County to add an additional black majority district. So it was supposed to add one to up in Huntsville, but that kind of got shot down. But there was a district added down south of us, and it looks like there's going to be another one added down south to us. The decision arrives just weeks before the Supreme Court rehears Louisiana's versus Calais case. The justices are framed to ask the state's intentional creation of second majority minority congressional districts violates the 14th or 15th Amendments. But yeah, I took this as a little bit of good news. And yeah, the Alabama state Senate district lines also hang in the balance. Last month, a federal judge blocked the current plan for 2026, directing the lawmakers to draw a new majority black district in the Montgomery area. So we might get one in Montgomery and Birmingham and maybe up here. So yeah, stick with the underdog. It's not a general rule, but a good rule of thumb. Yeah. They say Americans love underdogs. Well,
Well, that depends.
Yeah. Conditionally. So, but, let's see. Yeah. So, before we wrap up here, you got anything else, Jay?
I have a couple things. So Don't forget that the state of Alabama is scheduled to execute Jeffrey West on the 25th, which is Thursday of next week. And the son of the woman who was killed by Jeffrey West has asked that this not happen. He's asked that he be allowed to speak with West and to forgive him. And I, as an opponent of the death penalty in general anyway, like, you're unlikely to persuade Kay Ivey to do anything, but it can't hurt to call her office and say, hey, maybe you grant the victim's wishes instead of claiming to do cruelty in their name.
Yeah.
So I just want to remind people of that. And I wanted to say that while we were talking, I purchased a copy of A History of the Ancient World by Susan Wise Bauer at the recommendation of, I'm not going to call him Comrade Scumbag. Come on. I did purchase the book, so hopefully by next week I will have read some significant portion of it. I'm sort of in between books at the moment, so
yeah, it needs to stop around the world. It needs to stop in Alabama, the United States, and all over. The death penalty is an abomination.
And especially the way we practice it here in Alabama, because we had a series of botched executions with the lethal injection protocol. And so they switched to this nitrous oxide thing that essentially drowns people over the course of several minutes. People have been observed jerking, making motions, and clearly just in distress and suffering as they were supposed to have been dying. So,
Also on the 25th is the Huntsville City Council will be approving the yearly budget. So be there, speak your mind, check out the agenda. They release it the day before. You can call to sign up to speak or sign before 5:30 at the place. Also on October 5th, Young Palestinians of Huntsville are putting together a protest and demonstration. Check out our social media, Instagram. You should see a post on that. Also look up Young Palestinians. You can find them on Instagram. And we've got the No Kings protest in October as well. I think the 18th. So I've done a poor job getting all these together. There's a lot of training out there that's coming around. There's all kinds of training in the past 2 weeks on all kinds of things. Join DSA and we'll get you plugged in. The DSA, North Alabama DSA, is officially joined the North Alabama Spokes Council, which is right now it's about 12 member organizations, and we'll be expanding to as many member organizations as we can, or churches, whoever wants to join, that wants to make things better for the working class. And keep your First Amendment and your Second Amendment and Third Amendment and all your rights, divinely given. There's there's more happening. There's always more happening, and we'll keep y'all updated for sure. But and don't forget, like, comment, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. We're at 110 folks. Check it in the description down below for Robert Hunter's campaign running against Mac Butler out in House District 28. You can donate and volunteer down there for him. And we also got several more working class candidates that are going to be running for office. And we should be able to announce some of that soon. Check out Amanda Puschek's for Congressional District 4. We got folks running for Congressional District 5. Yeah. I thank you. Thank you, comrade. But yeah, so much happening, so much going on. But yeah, but I wanted to share this one crazy story. The Underground Railroad at Camp Cosby. Redditor says this randomly popped in my head the other day, and I was wondering how many others had to do this weird shit as a kid. I remember they took us out in the woods late at night, and we all had to hide in the old log cabin. Then a bunch of dudes with torches ran up and chased us through the woods screaming. They caught one of my friends and tied him to a pole and yelled at him until he broke down crying and made him say, "My name is Mud." Then they walked us back to camp with our hands up as if we were prisoners. Who thought it was a good idea to put children through a runaway slave simulator? I think I was in 5th grade at the time. This shit was wild. And this is on the r/Birmingham. And you can go in there and read some of the comments. And yeah, it was pretty prevalent.
What?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's insane.
Absolutely. So yeah, check out that story. You'll find it very interesting, to say the least. Yeah. Yeah. Psychological terror isn't education.
Yeah, no kidding.
So yeah. But with that, I think we're at the end of the show. Do all the things. Thank all y'all so much for taking time out of your day. 70% of us are paycheck to paycheck and working 40 plus hours a week or 2 jobs and all this madness that's completely unnecessary. But it is all working as designed, and it is all designed by the rich folks. So if you want a better life, and you want a better life for your kids, be part of a working class movement, join DSA or DSAing around you. We'll help you stand one up chapter. But there's other organizations out there that are already doing work. Find them, join them, organize student, tenants, and workers in your community. We're organizing in the state, and we're going to take our power back.
You only get what you're organized to take.
That's right. So, as we like to say around here, all the power to all the people. We, the people, break our chains together. Solidarity forever, y'all.
Solidarity forever.